media outlets. Back to the show.
Welcome back to From a Black Perspective. Shouts out again to Robyn and Monica. Monica, that was a very, very deep story. We're now here with Arthur Ken Hamilton. Excuse me, Ken Compton. Ken Compton is a native of St. Louis, Missouri. He's also a graduate of Truman State University and a fellow chapter member in the mighty Muta chapter of Phi Beta Sigma alongside Arthur Eddie Pierce. In his childhood, he was inspired by authors R.L. Stine and Christopher Pike. He's been writing since 2007. He's also contributed to the series From a Black Perspective, The Blood, where he published an excerpt of Graffiti Part, a surreal crime drama series of the same. Now, Ken, we can go ahead with your reading.
Thank you so much, JayDee, and thank you to Rainbow Room Publishing and all of our viewers for spending time with us this afternoon. My reading is indeed Geraldine, taken from a Black Perspective, The People. Lights out was at 9:30 p.m., and 218 was the last room Barbara had to inspect. She peered inside where a moonlit window illuminated a frail man resting on an angled Tempur-Pedic in an otherwise dark, somber space. There was something familiar about him. His silver hair was unkempt. His eyes were partially opened. His brown skin was cluttered with moles, and breathing tubes nestled at the nostrils instead of the mouth left him free to speak. The man turned and met her interest. Her father had the same sunken face. "I miss Geraldine," he said. "Come again, sir?" "I miss Geraldine." Barbara hesitated. The man looked away. "I'll send a care team member to assist you," she said before departing. Barbara Noble, administrator, had been newly inscribed on the door plate of the large office at the end of the hall. The Safe Haven Hospice logo greeted her from the computer screen once she was seated behind the cherrywood desk. Curiosity inspired a few keystrokes that brightened the monitor with a patient list. Melvin Henry Thomas resided in 218, age 81, stage 4 emphysema, one grandson in the Marines overseas, no other known relatives, no mind-fogging side effects from treatment, no one named Geraldine. Oh well. Barbara messaged a care attendant, and logged off. The burgundy executive chair cooled her back as she reclined. It was uncommon for administrators to take personal interest in residents, but Mr. Thomas's resemblance to her father disrupted objectivity. "I need to see you today, Barbs," he said some Tuesday morning not long ago. "Daddy, I can't. It's a 4-hour drive, and I just started a new job in a hospice. I'll come this weekend and bring you those Crown Candy chocolates." "I don't need chocolate. I need to see my only daughter as soon as possible." She laughed it off and replied, "I'll see you this weekend." 2 days later, he died of heart failure. The permeating stink of sickly bodies greeted her upon arriving at Safe Haven early the next day. A gulp of brew broke the stench as she walked towards the stairwell, avoiding the wait for the elevator. On the second floor, room 218 was to the left, where not much had changed from the night before. "Good morning, Mr. Thomas." She stepped inside and placed her coffee and purse on the bedside table. "Is there anything a staff member or I can do for you?" The familiar face greeted her. "I miss Geraldine." Who was Geraldine? And I'll end my reading there.
Thank you, Ken, for that amazing story. Based on experience from me, taking care of an elderly, my grandfather. So this kind of gives kind of an insight on what we have to deal with, especially with our elderly. The personality of the main character, which you've spoken of, seems to me that she's a professional caregiver, and it's so clear. But did you also draw any personal experience as a caregiver on this story?
I actually don't have any experience with caregiving myself, especially someone experiencing, facing death themselves. But this piece was inspired by my grandmother, who I speak of in the author's note. And she truly did miss Geraldine, as I mentioned. And people often ask, well, where do you get your ideas? They ask authors that all the time. And I use something that my grandmother used to say when she went through that, missing Geraldine, and I just turned it into a story.
Well, we appreciate that. And then let's take a question from our audience. When can we expect the first novel in the series Graffiti Park?
Well, what I can tell you is that Graffiti Park is indeed underway. I have started the writing of the novel. What I can also say is that I'm reusing characters that are in the short story, as well as introducing new characters as well. I don't have an exact timeline, but believe me, to those who were a fan of the short story, I appreciate all of your encouragement, and believe me, it's coming. So I won't disappoint you. I hope I don't.
Well, thank you for that, and we'll be looking forward to that Graffiti Park. And thank you, Ken, for your time. And we're going to go to another commercial break.
Thank you.
Available now from Dreamwriter Inc. Becoming a Fearless Author by Crystal Renee Tillman with Dreamwriter Inc., the essential writer's guide for authors both new and published. Get your copies today.
Hello, my name is Keith Clark, founder and CEO of Beyond All Limits. Just coming to you guys with a quick, very important event. Save the date. July 28th through the 30th. Again, July 28th, 30th, as Beyond All Limits hosts our second empowerment conference in Houston, Texas. We'll be offering panel discussion on mental health. We're going to have brunch, day party, you name it. Just a weekend full of empowerment. Our theme this year is Show Up, Show Out. Again, my name is Keith Clark, founder and CEO. Follow us on all social media platforms, Beyond All Limits. And you guys be blessed.
Visit www.dreamwriterinc today and don't miss that empowerment conference. Back to the show.